Because in the maritime world, disappearing doesn't mean sinking, vanishing, or going off radar for fun. It often means something far more calculated: repositioning, reflagging, or quietly escaping legal reach before restrictions lock everything down. And if you don't understand how and why that happens, you're looking at a system where billions in assets can move faster than governments can react. Today, we're breaking down a real-world case tied to the early days of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, where a high-value superyacht allegedly vanished from tracking the very day global tension exploded. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how superyachts disappear, why timing matters more than size, and the exact sequence of moves owners and crews use to stay ahead of sanctions, seizures, and surveillance. Let's get into it. The Fast One. Understanding what disappearing actually means: identify the difference between physical loss and administrative disappearance. A yacht doesn't need to sink to disappear. It only needs to stop appearing in tracking systems like AIS. Why it matters. Most viewers assume gone means destroyed or lost at sea. In reality, it often means the vessel is still sailing, just deliberately invisible. What goes wrong if you misunderstand this? You misread maritime news entirely, thinking something is missing when it's actually been repositioned under a new identity. Pro tip: experienced crews often switch off AIS in international waters, especially near jurisdiction borders, to avoid automatic flagging systems. Understand why timing is everything during global conflict. When geopolitical events like the Russian invasion of Ukraine begin, asset tracking systems and sanctions lists don't update instantly. Why it matters. That delay window is where high-value assets move. What goes wrong if skipped? You assume sanctions are immediate and airtight, when in reality, there's often a critical gap of hours or days. Insider detail. Maritime analysts often call this the reaction lag window, and it's where most repositioning operations happen. Fast too. The disappearance sequence of a superyacht monitor, the last confirmed AIS signal. Every vessel has a digital footprint through AIS tracking. Why it matters. The last ping tells you the exact moment the yacht decided to stop being visible. What goes wrong if ignored? You lose the ability to reconstruct the timeline, which is crucial in understanding intent versus coincidence. Pro tip: investigators often cross-reference AIS gaps with Port Authority radar logs to reconstruct hidden movements. Identify the exit corridor strategy. Superyachts don't just vanish randomly. They move through known maritime exit corridors. Why it matters. These routes are chosen because they pass through regions with weaker enforcement or slower reporting. What goes wrong if skipped? You assume open ocean equals freedom, when in reality movement patterns are highly predictable. Insider detail. The Mediterranean and Black Sea routes are especially sensitive during geopolitical tension due to proximity to enforcement zones. Track the support infrastructure. A yacht rarely moves alone. It depends on fuel tenders, escort vessels, and maintenance coordination. Why it matters. Even if the yacht disappears digitally, its support network often remains visible. What goes wrong if ignored? You focus only on the yacht and miss the logistical trail that reveals its true direction. Pro tip: fuel barge movements are one of the strongest indirect indicators of yacht repositioning. Boss 3. The geopolitical trigger effect. Understand sanctions anticipation behavior. Before official sanctions fully activate, asset owners often move preemptively. Why it matters. The anticipation of restriction is often more powerful than the restriction itself. What goes wrong if skipped? You assume movement only happens after enforcement, not before. Insider detail. In many cases, compliance teams begin relocation planning days before public announcements. Recognize jurisdiction switching tactics. One of the most common strategies is flag registry change. Why it matters. Changing a vessel's registration can shift legal exposure instantly. What goes wrong if ignored? You think a yacht remains under the same legal protection even after relocation. Pro tip: smaller flag states often become temporary havens during crisis periods due to slower enforcement coordination. BOF 4. How superyachts stay invisible. AIS manipulation techniques. AIS can be turned off, spoofed, or intermittently broadcast. Why it matters. This creates gaps in tracking that look like disappearance. What goes wrong if skipped? You misinterpret intentional silence as technical failure. Insider detail. Dark periods are often scheduled, not accidental. Satellite coverage blind spots. Even satellites have timing and resolution limits. Why it matters. Gaps between passes can allow short repositioning windows. What goes wrong if ignored? You assume surveillance is constant, when in reality it is layered and delayed. Pro tip: high-value vessels often time movements between satellite passes, not just port schedules. Identity layering through name and registry changes. A yacht can be renamed, reflagged, and re-registered within short windows. Why it matters. Identity is as fluid as location in maritime law. What goes wrong if skipped? You track the wrong vessel thinking it is still the same asset. Insider detail. Insurance documents often lag behind physical identity changes, creating legal confusion trails. Bonnie 5. What likely happened in this case scenario? Pre-event positioning before the Russian invasion of Ukraine escalated fully. High-value assets began repositioning towards safer jurisdictions. Why it matters. Early movement reduces seizure risk. Digital disappearance window. The yacht likely went dark by disabling AIS transmission during transit. Why it matters. This is the most common disappearance moment. Jurisdiction transition. Once outside immediate enforcement reach, the vessel could reappear under different administrative conditions. Why it matters. This is where missing becomes relocated. Phase 6. Traps viewers always misunderstand, thinking disappearance means destruction. Most yachts are not lost. They are moved strategically, assuming tracking systems are absolute. They are incomplete, delayed, and often intentionally bypassed. Believing sanctions are instant. There is always a reaction window, and that window is exploited. Confusing silence with inactivity. A dark AIS signal does not mean a stationary vessel. Closing checklist. What you should now understand. If you followed this step-by-step breakdown, you now understand that a superyacht disappearing is rarely an accident. It is usually a coordinated sequence. Detection of risk, preemptive, relocation, signal, suppression, jurisdiction, transition, reappearance under new conditions, and during global events like the Russian invasion of Ukraine, that sequence becomes significantly more active, faster, and harder to track the final thoughts and engagement. Now, here's something to think about. Do you believe modern tracking systems are strong enough to prevent high-value assets from slipping through during global crises, or are there still too many blind spots?